Hello everybody and welcome back to another Overwatch League fan thoughts analysis video. Today, I'll be going over my predictions for Stage 2, Week 1. If you didn't see my video that went up on Friday, I went over some things such as what's changing in Stage 2, as well as a bunch of the things from Stage 1 playoffs. This video will probably end up being a little bit shorter than some of the other ones. But, yeah. So let's just go over picks and whatnot. Just want to clarify a couple things. Obviously, going forward, we're in a new stage. So the top 10 stage standings at the end of each video won't reflect the division standings any longer. They're different now. And of course, those standings don't reflect any of the playoff stuff that happened. They just reflect regular season games. So the standings overall are the exact same as what we saw from the end of Stage 1. But until then, let's take a look at my picks for Week 1 of Stage 2. So the first game on Thursday, April 4th, is the Philadelphia Fusion taking on the New York Excelsior. That is my big pick game for the day. I am taking the New York Excelsior. It is NYXL's first chance at revenge against the Fusion for the Season 1 playoffs. New York has looked better, in my opinion, and while they did lose to Seoul in the stage playoffs, doesn't really bother me that much. I think that they have still looked stronger. Philadelphia won, but they beat a team that I don't think looked that good. And then they got absolutely destroyed in the second round. So I think this is a very, very interesting matchup, but I still think New York is the better team and will walk away with the win. Next is the Boston Uprising taking on the Atlanta Reign. I'm taking the Boston Uprising. Atlanta Reign, of course, losing DeFran. He is retiring, so he will not be here for the rest of the stage, the rest of the season. I'm curious to see what they do without him, but I don't really have a lot of faith in them. I thought they looked pretty weak by the end of the stage anyway. They didn't look to be the dominant team that I believed they were going into the last couple of weeks. They started to really lose some games I don't think they should have lost. They started looking like a team that wasn't that good. And ultimately, I think that they showed that without DeFran, they probably won't be much of anything. Next is the Shanghai Dragons taking on the LA Gladiators. LA Gladiators finally looking like the team that everyone thought they would be. I think they look really, really good. They've looked consistent in the past couple of games. And while they are 3-4 currently, I still think they're a top 4 team, top 5 team, definitely. Just based on what we've seen in the way that they've played with their full roster now. I'm excited to see how the new stage impacts them. Will we see GOATs? Will we see DPS-heavy compositions at the moment? I have no idea, but I'm excited to see. But the Shanghai Dragons, I don't think, are looking as good as the Gladiators, so I'm going to roll with the Gladiators for this one. Final game of the day on Thursday is the Guangzhou Charge and the Paris Eternal. I'm taking the Guangzhou Charge, and the Paris Eternal have looked very, very, very weak in their last few games. The Charge didn't end the stage on a high note, but I think that they have looked better as a whole. I think that they'll be better in this match. Paris Eternal, to me, GOATs should be the meta that where they excel the most, and they did not look very good by the end. Maybe when they have Soon and Shadowburn getting to play the heroes that they're more comfortable with, maybe that's something that they'll be better with. But as a whole, I just think the Charge look better, and I think they will get that win. Moving on to Friday, the London Spitfire take on the Florida Mayhem. London, to me, is the clear favorite to win this game. The Florida Mayhem don't look that good, in my opinion. They look like a relatively mediocre team. The Mayhem are arguably the worst team in the Overwatch League after losing to the Washington Justice in Week 5 of Stage 1. I don't really think they're that good. I haven't seen anything from them that made me impressed. Their one win was a win against the weakened Philadelphia Fusion. To me, the London Spitfire walk away with this one with a win. Next is the Washington Justice against the Toronto Defiant. I'm taking the Toronto Defiant. I don't want to say the Toronto Defiant are a top 5 team. Or I won't say they're top 4 team. They're top 6 probably, top 5, top 6 maybe. Maybe, they looked pretty weak in the playoffs, but obviously they played San Francisco, and San Francisco is an incredible team, so you know, kind of in that way, a bit of a, well, what do you expect type thing. They played they played a top 3 team in the league and didn't do as well. So I just think as a whole, it's going to be a bit different for them, but I still think the Washington Justice are a very weak team, and the Toronto Defiant shouldn't have much of an issue winning against them. Next, the LA Valiant taking on the San Francisco Shock. LA Valiant, of course, a winless team so far this season, and while I think that coaching changes will be good for them, the team is really kind of lacking in things that I think they need. I think their main DPS role, or I guess their hit scan DPS role, which is currently Kareev, not very good. I think they need to find someone else. I think they need to change some things with this team. They just look to be in shambles in a lot of ways. And the San Francisco Shock, to me, just look like a better team. And that's all I got to say. I think the Shock are so good. The Valiant don't look that great. I don't see the Valiant getting the first win against the Shock. For my big pick game of Friday, toughest game for me to pick all week, the LA Gladiators and the Seoul Dynasty. Now, I know what everyone's thinking. I just said the LA Gladiators are a top 4, top 5 team, and now here I have them losing to the Seoul Dynasty. Do I have the Seoul Dynasty as a top 4, top 5 team? The answer to the question is maybe. I think right now, at least for most of Stage 1, Seoul was not playing their best. But I think what we saw them run against New York showed that Seoul is an incredible team. I think they have all the talent that they need. I think they're easily one of the best teams in the league. But they haven't been running it. They haven't been showing it. They've been kind of lackluster, and I think that the win against New York kind of showed, like, hey, we are still a very good team. We have the talent. We have the players. We have the coaches. We have everything we need to be this really good team. I just think that the problem is consistency. And consistency is a thing that has derailed teams in the past. It derailed the Spitfire for a while in Stage 1. Could derail the Dynasty here in this season if they can't find consistency. But I think they're a very good team. They already beat the Gladiators once. Fissure is still undefeated against all of the teams that he used to play for. I don't see that changing. I think the Gladiators very easily could win this game. Like, it could be a 4 for the Gladiators, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I also think it could be a really close win for the Shock, or for the Dynasty. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a very close game, but I'm gonna rock with the Dynasty because I've been singing their praise all season long, and preseason long, and I'm not going to stop that now. Moving into April 6th, which is Saturday, we have the Florida Mayhem taking the Philadelphia Fusion. Revenge game for the Fusion. I have them winning this one. The Mayhem, to me, like I said, arguably the worst team in the league. Philadelphia Fusion, I would not say arguably one of the best teams in the league, but I think they're a very solid team. I think that they look really good, and I think that we will be seeing more DPS play in Stage 2. Maybe not completely outside of GOATs yet, but definitely less DPS play. So Carpe and EQO getting to show their strengths a little bit more. A big pick for Saturday is the Toronto Defiant and the Boston Uprising. I'm taking the Toronto Defiant. They won the last time these two teams met. I really think that the Defiant are a better team. I think they look better. I think they've played better. And ultimately, I think that the Defiant walk away with another win against a team they've already beaten. Next game on Saturday is the New York Excelsior taking on the Shanghai Dragons. I think this game will be pretty close. I think New York is still going to win it. New York has not lost, besides their playoff loss to the Seoul Dynasty yet this season. um, and they've played some pretty good teams better than the Dragons. And while I think the Dragons are much better than what we've seen from them in the past, obviously they have three more wins this season than they did all of last season. Um, they are not a team that I would say is completely ready yet, that is completely at their fullest potential yet. And a team like New York is a solid team and it's just a hard team to beat. So I'm still going to roll with New York for this one. Finally, last game on Saturday, the Chengdu Hunters against the Paris Eternal. I'm taking the Paris Eternal. This one's really close. I really could see it going either way. I'm not going to lie to you. I could see Paris losing this game pretty easily. But I think Chengdu is just not quite where I think they need to be. And while we are moving into a meta that I think favors them a little bit more because it's less goats heavy, I still think the Eternal have the DPS players that are really good that haven't really got to shine. And I'm excited to see what they can do in a potentially more DPS heavy meta, but I'm just not sold yet on the Chengdu Hunters entirely. And the Eternal, I think, have just been a little bit better. So I'm rocking with the Paris Eternal. Finally, we have Sunday. First game of the San Francisco Shock taking on the Guangzhou Charge. I'm taking the San Francisco Shock. I still think they're a top 3 team in the league. I still think they have been incredibly good so far this season, and I think that they take this game pretty easily. Next is the Atlanta Reign taking on the London Spitfire. I think the Reign look weaker. They don't have Dufran. They don't have the player who is arguably their best player for all of Stage 1. The London Spitfire, in my opinion, just look better. They've struggled a bit, but I think that they, in general, have looked like a stronger team. I don't think I'd call them a super strong team, a super high team right now, but I think that they have done the things they need to do to improve. They had the tough loss to Shanghai, which really set them back. But I think that they have to show their strength and prove how strong they are as a team. And I think that a win here against Atlanta would help that happen. But I definitely get the Spitfire have looked better, especially with guard in the lineup. Obviously, things will be a little bit different now. If with no Sombra potentially in the lineup, though Sombra's a really good hero based on the changes that she got in the newest patch. So I think she could still be seeing a lot of playtime, but if we need to see some Widowmaker, I would still expect to see Bird Ring in that role. So I don't know really how much guard we might see, but I just think the Spitfire looked better than the Reign, even though the Reign made the stage playoffs and the Spitfire didn't. Without Dufran, I still have some questions about the Reign, so Spitfire it is. Next, we have my big pick game, which is the Vancouver Titans against the Hangzhou Spark. First game back for the Vancouver Titans after their Stage 1 victory, and I think they just look better than the Hangzhou Spark. Titans are, I would say, right now the best team in the Overwatch League, and the Spark are not. The Spark had a good start to the season and then a very, very, very rough rest of the stage. Maybe they bounce back and start to show out and look a lot better. But right now, I'm not super positive that they do that, and I'm not super, sold on the fact that they might do that. I just think the Titans have looked like a completely dominant team, and I don't expect that to stop at the start of Stage 2, so I'm taking them to beat the Spark. Final game of the week, Washington Justice taking on the Chengdu Hunters. Here I am taking the Hunters. The Justice are still not a very good team. They're not a team that I will pick from here on out, most likely, until they start getting some wins. Of course, they got their one against Florida, which is the team that I probably now won't be picking at all until they show me they can win games. So I just think Chengdu's interesting lineup. I think it'll be interesting, especially coming out in Stage 2. I think that was one of the reasons why they benefited in Stage 1 is that they played a way that people weren't really used to. And when you don't play a game right away and you come out, you get a win early on because, people don't know what you're going to run. They don't really expect it. It's not what other people are doing. So that was a benefit they had in Stage 1. They won't have the same benefit in Stage 2. They still don't have their full roster. They're still missing a good chunk of their players. And who knows when they'll get them back. Maybe they have come back. I haven't seen anything about them coming, or not back, getting into the US yet. So I don't think they are here yet. Obviously, the Washington Justice are somewhat improved now that they have Arc. I can't even say that that's somewhat improved. They're significantly improved with the addition of Arc. Arc is a very, very, very good player for this team to add. But obviously, it comes down to what will happen going forward. So I'm excited to see if the Washington Justice with Arc on the team can really, really, really be a completely different team. But ultimately, I still think that it will go the way of the Chengdu Hunters for this one. But that is everything that I have for you here in my predictions. I will show you, of course, the division standings once again. Here they are, as they have been since the end of week 5 of stage 1. No change there, of course. Stage standings don't really matter because nothing has happened yet. All the teams are 0-0. So I'm excited for stage 2 to kick off. I'm hoping we get to see some more cool DPS play. I hope we get to see players like Pine and Flower from NYXL. Surefour getting to do some cool DPS stuff soon, and Shadowburn on their main heroes, Sabiobi on that Tracer, EQO and Carpe playing their signature heroes. There's a lot of really great DPS players in this league that we haven't really gotten to see play their signature heroes, so I really hope we get to see some of that this week and this stage. But that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy, consider liking and subscribing, as it helps out a bunch. But I'm going to get out of here. Until next time, bye-bye.